Creating alerts in iOS is kind of time-consuming and it's kind of confusing, but it doesn't have to be like that. Not anymore. So hit that subscribe button because in this video we are going to tackle that. Let's build our UI alert controllers. Now, why do we actually want to build out these UI alert controllers? And that is because building out these alerts it's kind of tedious to do it the UIKit way. So we are going to create some structs that will help this write out really easily. Now, before we dive into this, let me just remind you that I'm just going to use existing project that I built in the previous episode. Go ahead and take a look at it there. And I do know, let me just show you that. I do know that it's called Spark Activity Controller. That is because we were talking about the activity controller. But yeah, you will also do this on your own project, and yeah, alerts are agnostic, so you could just use them anywhere you want. I'm just going to use this in this project, and this project was built with the help of Spark UI. If you don't know what Spark UI is, go ahead and take a look at that GitHub, and yeah, basically you could build iOS apps at lightning speed. This is my very own tested and proven framework that I use in most of my production apps. And yeah, go ahead and take a look at it. It's really fun to use and it's really fast to build out iOS apps. Now, we left off in the previous episode by adding an image view and a button called share button to our view. And yeah, that is what we are going to build upon today because we want to go ahead and create a show alert function. So before we do that, let me just tell you that I have also added UI window plus, which is actually grabbing the topmost view controller. Now I do have a separate video on that, but go ahead and take a look at the resources. The link is in the description and you will be taken to all of my resources for the YouTube channel. Select the current day that this video was published on and you will find that the resources is just a simple uiwindowplus.swift file which has this nice visible view controller grabbing function. Okay, and we will use that in just a second. You will see how. Okay, so here I have an image view, and if this syntax is kind of confusing for you, go ahead and take a look at the previous episode. It's really sweet and nice. It's really easy to build out these interfaces. So let's just jump right into it. And below the share button, let's just create an alert button. So let alert button. And now you will see how easy it is to build out these interfaces with the help of Spark UI. So you already have this cheat sheet for the share button, but let me just type in here .text, and I would choose this one with the string. So let's say show alert should be the text. And then let's add text color. Why not? Text color. And that will be, again, system blue is fine by me. And let's have this also as bold. And you see that we have bold of size. Well, you don't see it actually because of my face, but if you start typing that in, you will see that we have these kind of options. Now, these come from Spark UI. And if you go to GitHub, you will see if you tap on clone and download and just grab this URL and add it onto your package files. So go ahead here, select your project, select Swift packages and add this plus sign and then just add this new one there. You will have access to all of that. Of course, you also have to import it. So import Spark UI and ReactiveKit and Layoutless is imported. For the other stuff, laying this layout out effortlessly, and ReactiveKit is for observing tabs on this UI button very easily. So let me just refactor this. Well, not refactor, just set these on separate lines. It looks much cooler. And now, if you have taken a look at the previous video, you know that I'm stacking these views on top of each other. So we are creating a vertical stack. Basically, that's what it is with a spacing of 15, filling the container. And the container is basically the views, the view controller's view. Basically, that's what it is. It's an abstraction of that view because I'm using SView controller. If you need more guidance, go ahead and take a look at the previous video. It's also in the description. Now, what I'm doing here is adding an image view, a share button, and now our alert button. So alert button, and that's it. The spacer is an empty view that is kind of pushing everything up to the top. And now we are observing. By the way, these layout views and observe are called in the SView controller's view did load. So you don't need to call them. They are called automatically. So now let's just observe our next step on that alert button with the help of ReactiveKit. And that is pretty easy to do. Let's just type in alert button dot reactive dot tab and observe next. So we are observing the next one. This is a completion, so I hit return there. Let's just remove this because we don't need, and we want to dispose this in our bag. And if you're coming from reactive programming, you already know this, that we are observing these tabs on that alert button, but we do need to dispose of them inside a disposable bag. And that's what we are doing basically here. So here we just let's just print out tabbed alert. Okay, and now basically that's it. Let's just build and run and see how this looks like. So let's see here. And there we go. Here we have our show alert button, and we should see that, and we do see that in the log that we tapped on that alert. Okay, now that was really fast. So here we have our Spark activity controller. So let's from the previous lesson. Now let's create a Spark alert controller. So struct, there we go. Let's select struct, and let's name this Spark alert controller. By the way, if you are going to dig deep into Spark UI, you will see that this is called S alert controller in Spark UI. But now we are going to build it out from scratch, so you may learn. Hooray! So let's create a static function here, static func, and I will name this show alert. Again, why do we actually need this? We need this because we want this to be available throughout the app, even in cells and so on. So, and it should be really easy to use. And for that, we want to have a title, a message, and some actions, if there are, and maybe a completion handler. So I will just copy this out from my cheat sheet here because it's kind of long, but I will guide you through what I have here. So there we go. So let's see here. First of all, we have a style, and that could be an alert, or that could be an action sheet, and that is for all alerts. Now we have a title that should be optional, a string, because we might omit the title or the message. The message is also an optional string. We have an array of actions, and this is kind of interesting. This is where the power of this Spark Alert Controller will come into effect. We may add as many actions as we want as an array. And I have this as a default UI alert action with the title of OK, start, cancel, handler, nil. So yeah, if we don't add any actions, then the OK action will pop up. And the completion handler, we are going to use this when we present the actual alert controller, and the default should be nil. Okay, so that is what we need to add in to this function. So let's build this out. First of all, let's create our alert. So let alert equals UI alert controller, UI alert controller. There we go. And we are going to use this title, and the title should be the title. And as you can see, it also should be an optional string. Message, again, an optional string as the message. Preferred style, we are going to add this style that we are using here. So let's copy that out and paste that in and there. Now we have our alert. What we usually do when we create these alerts is now it's time to create those actions and add them to our alert. So what we need to do here with a simple for loop, we are going to just iterate through the actions and just add them. So for action in actions, alert, add action, and the action. A lot of action going on right here. So it's pretty simple and easy to use. Now, next up, we want to grab our view controller so we can present this alert on that view controller. Now, as you can see, we haven't added any view controller, so we hadn't implemented in the show alert function any view controllers, because this should be agnostic. This should be used anywhere. So what we need is the topmost view controller, and that is where the UI window plus comes in handy, because with that we can find the topmost view controller and we can present it. So I'm calling it a visible view controller. So and that could be an optional. So let's just if let unwrap that. So if let visible view controller equals visible view controller. As you can see, this is an optional. That's fine. So if we do have a visible view controller, we want to present that alert. So visible view controller, present, the view controller is the alert, of course. Animated, let's set this to true, why not? And it should be. And the completion, as you can see, now we have a completion here, and that is exactly what we added for the completion of the show alert. So what we need to do here is just type in completion, and that will complete. Now, this kind of looks okay, but we still need to add some more stuff to the alert to this actually work. And that is mostly about positioning this alert, this UI alert controller. So let's just start. So first of all, we need to set the source view. So alert dot popover presentation controller dot source view equals visible view controller dot view. Now this is because this alert should also be available on iPads, and yeah, we need to set the source view on iPads. Now let's move forward. Alert dot. Now we want to set the source rect also, and again popover presentation controller source rect. Now this is kind of a long one, so it will be a CG rect. There we go. And the CG rect needs to have an X, Y, width and height. So let's go over through the X, and that is the visible view controllers view dot bounds dot mid X. Mid X. There we go. So basically the middle of our screen, that is where we aim to. And the same goes for our Y. So visible view controller dot view dot bounds. There we go, dot mid Y. Okay. Now, what about the width and the height? Now, the width and the height should be basically 0, because the UIAlertController will adjust itself to the correct width and height. Okay, so 0 and 0. That takes care of our source rect. And finally, permitted arrow directions, because on iPad we do have something like that, and we don't want to have these arrows on an actual UIAlertController. So we want to add in here an empty array. So alert, again, popover presentation controller dot permitted arrow directions, and this should be basically an empty array. And that is it. Let's just start by trying this out, and instead of printing out tabbed alert, let's just type in Spark alert controller. There we go. And with the dot notation, we are going to have this show alert. There we go. And as you can see, there are some options there, but let's just use the one without a completion handler. That will be perfectly fine for us. And the style, let's add a dot here. As you can see, action sheet or alert. Let's use alert for now. Title, let's see. Let's have an error here. So error, and message, you have an error. Okay, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so let's build and run this and see how this looks like. And after that, we are going to add some actions also. So let me just move to show you my screen here. There we go. Let's show alert. And there you go. Error. You have an error. And the default action is OK. So let's tap on OK. It disappears. Let's tap on it again. OK. Works like a charm. So and now let us just go ahead and use the other one. So the longer one here, where you can see there is an array of UI alert actions. So there we go. Again, alert should be fine. Go ahead and experiment with action sheet. It looks really nice. Title, error, message, you have an error. And the actions is an array of actions. And now let's just create an array of actions. And let's see, let's say dismiss action. And that will be a UI alert action, and let's have a title of let's say dismiss, and the style should be destructive, and the handler, what should we do here? Let's say action here, and let's just print out here, print out dismissed. Okay, now you could do anything that you want here, and you could also add any amount of actions here. Now, completion handler, let's use nil here. I don't really care what happens after this alert is showed. So let's hit Command R and see this in action again. So now we should have a red dismiss button there. So show alert, there we go. You have an error, dismiss. And if I tap on dismiss, you can see it printed out dismiss. So you could do anything that you want here. Now, let's just move on. And yeah, if you take a look at Spark UI, you will see that there are a lot more under the hood in ALertController. And let me just briefly tap on what else do we have here. So first of all, let's just, in many cases, this error title should be an error and the message, we only need the message. So let's create a little convenience method that should be called show error, or you could just go show warning or show success. Go ahead and take a look at Spark UI for more details. But for now, let me just go ahead and create this show error function. So again, this would be a static and show error. And what this should have is basically just a message. So message, and in most cases that is the error message of our error that we got back, the localized description of that error. But again, this should be a string. So basically that's it. And here I am going to show an alert, and we are going to show without anything. So OK should be a really perfect here, and it should be an alert. The title should be error, so we have this already managed, and the message should be our message. Okay, this should be also let me just add in here func, I just forgot. So this message should be not an optional, so it needs to be a real, well, not a real string, a valid string. And now we could use this. Again, let me just uncomment all over this. There we go. And again, this is just a simple error handling. So Spark Alert Controller show, and now we are just going to show error with the message, you have an error. Okay. And yeah, that will just pop up. Let me just build and run real quick, and let's see how this looks like. Tapping on show alert, You have an error. Okay, I did have an error. Something went wrong. That is okay. Now, in some cases, you want to have a default kind of cancel button. So as a last exercise here, I will show you how you can create these custom actions. Okay, so let's create a simple cancel action. So static func cancel action, and what it needs is simply a title, and that will be a string, and this will actually return a UI alert action. There we go, UI alert action. Now let's just create this by simply returning UI alert action. By the way, if this is a one-liner, so we could omit return, but let's just go forward. A title, and this should be yeah, let's just add this as a default here as cancel, because yeah, maybe you just want to have as a cancel dismiss or something, so you could either choose to have this default cancel, or you could just add in a title of your choosing. The style should be destructive, and the handler, let's not use this. You could have that typed in nil, or you just delete it like I did. So let's use this. So let's just comment this out and comment this in. Now, instead of this dismiss action that we have created, and it's yeah, a few lines of code, but now I can just go Spark Alert Controller, cancel action, and I am perfectly fine with the default one with cancel title, and there we go. We have that alert. Let's hit Command R and see how that looks. It looks really nice. Let's tap on Show Alert. There we go. Error, you have an error, and it says cancel. How awesome is that? Now, inside Spark UI, I have also some extra stuff like the default action, destructive action, OK action. Go ahead and take a look at that. It's in AlertController. And by the way, we have not just this show alert with actions. It also supports UI text fields, you know, where maybe you just want to enter your email or password. We have in Spark UI available also that. Now, if you don't know where Spark UI is, go ahead and take a look at my GitHub repository at github.com Rebeloper/Spark UI. And if you have any questions about Spark UI or any questions in your code, go ahead and take a look at my new coding accelerator. It's called the Dev Factory, and you could apply for me to help you with any of your coding challenges. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, go ahead and take a look at Spark UI. So now you know how easy it is to show an alert with these helper functions. Now I want you to hit that notification bell, because in the next video I am going to show you how you can share an email inside your iOS app. So make sure to check this video out, and while you wait for that, make sure to check out these videos as well too. I talk a lot about Swift UI, Swift in general, iOS development, and as usual, I will see you in the next one.